Hey, it's Motorcycle Talk with Nic and Dave, and we're in for the next session here. Coming up in this episode, we talk about serious things.
I went around one corner and I just saw a corner on the edge of the cliff and it was all dirt.
We talk about funny things. But I rode around the side of a hill into a swarm of bees, and I'm positive I left like a Wile E. Coyote-shaped hole as I rode through it. And we interviewed the amazing Harley Throttle juicers, Roger and Rochelle.
I think we rode 300 metres and I'm yelling at get me off this frickin' thing.
Stay tuned.
So a subject I wanted to bring up was add-ons. And when I say add-ons, I'm talking about, a lot of us start off with just basic bikes. The thing is, if you haven't had them on, you don't miss it. You don't know. You're sort of like, I've had many people from work say, what do you need that? What do you like? Well, I didn't think I need them. You don't need them. The bottom line is you don't need them. And that's the truth. But like, we have a lot of things that we don't need. Well, we don't have to have 2 or 3 TVs in a house. We don't have to have 2 or 3 cars or 5 motorbikes or all the rest of it. But if we choose to want them. So anyway, as I went on further, obviously the screen was a big thing. I don't know, you guys tell me. There's some people that just will not put a screen on, end of story. They do not want to look through the screen. After 80 kilometres, it's like this. It's crazy. So, hats off to you. And I'm fortunate I have the electric screen so I can have it down, for around town, have a breeze. But as soon as I hit that highway, that screen comes up, takes all the buffing away, takes a lot of the bugs away, etc. Absolutely love it.
Well, now that you've got your screen, I can't imagine you going to a bike without a screen. It would. I ride without a screen because I kind of like the look without the screen. I like the romance of the wind, But the fact is that romance of motorcycle riding. I like that. But when I'm on a road where the wind is buffeting and it's just constant, or when I'm just got that wind noise and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it's like the romance is gone and it's just a really awful long relationship with no windscreen. It's there's a certain point where you're just like, what am I doing? Why do I not have a windscreen on this thing?
No, just to give you an example of the stuff I've got on mine, which is just crazy. But like you got the electric. Well, it is a very luxury motorcycle. It's got the heated handlebars, grips that go up to 10. You can't even get them up that high because they'll just burn right through your gloves. It's that bloody hot. The heated seats are absolutely fantastic. They're individual as well. So Jack's got her own little buttons and I've got mine. So she has it on a lot more than what I will. But we, people say, oh, you live in WA, perfect. Bloody well, we have some freezing cold mornings here. 1-2 degrees.
I used to ride in Queanbeyan and around that area. It's where I lived for a couple of years, and temperatures there, they would get to -5, -7. We had a -10 one night, and you get ice on the bike when you come out to it in the morning, and you got to crank that thing for a while to get it started. Yeah. It's heated grips. There have been times when I've had so much pain in my fingers because I've never ridden with heated grips that it's literally been on the side of the road thinking, wow, this is not just painful, this is so painful, I don't know if I can stand it. I don't know if that's bad for your fingers, but
that wouldn't be good. The weird thing is you're going to warm up the palm sort of inside of your hands, but the outside's still copping. And I know some people have those little electric battery gloves.
Mate of mine's got a pair of those. He reckons they're great. They're really great. And of course, you'd have to install on the bike, which is awesome. But he's had problems with the wires sort of breaking off between the battery and the actual glove. And he's had to battle with that so much. I don't think he uses them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think that they're probably trying to improve on it all the time. But, and the other thing is, with mine came naturally with the floorboards. But some people just don't want the floorboards. They're scraped or whatever. So, well, I'm only leaning so much on a big cruiser. I don't want to be scraping my bags and stuff like that. So the floorboards, the same with Jax. She'll never go back to pegs or anything like that. It was your feet rest a lot better. You don't get that because you're not just resting on your arches anymore.
I wanted to ask you about the floorboards though, Digby. Because I've got pegs. I like pegs because I feel like it gives me more control over the bike, sort of hanging on to or sort of sticking my feet on those pegs than I would have having my foot on a floorboard. But what do you think about that? When you're sort of going through curvy roads, do you think the floorboards are a disadvantage or is it pretty neutral?
No, not a disadvantage at all. The Indians ride quite high, and I can choose. I actually also have the air suspension allows me to put the bike up higher or lower. Like we've got 2 up, so I have it on 120 psi pressure as opposed to maybe 80 or 70 or whatever. But yeah, I've never had that many problems. If I'm going to scrape the floorboards, I'm also most likely going to scrape I'm going to scrape the mufflers first, the exhaust, and then you can get down to scraping the bags. And I mean, that's just ridiculous because the bags are worth an absolute bloody fortune on those things. If you want a more sports type of bike, that a bit more nakedness on the bike, then I absolutely agree. I mean, they want to ring around those bends. Not that I don't do it on the India. I've had many a person behind me when we got to the place we're going, and we've been shooting around like could be snowy mountains or Jindabyne and etc. And they go, man, how are you getting that bloody size bike around those things? That's the great thing about the Indian. It's so well balanced that allows me to do that that I couldn't be able to do on other big bikes.
Well, I think big bikes are a lot more movable than people think. I mean, there's been times when I've gone into a corner too hot, and I've just thought, "Oh boy!" And you don't want to stiffen up. You just want to go right. I've got to get through the corner. I've got to lean in. So you counter steer, you push your knees into the tank, and you go. And the bike can handle so much more in cornering than you think. And have you ever seen that footage of those United States police riders on their Harley Davidson with the bags doing cornering that there'd be plenty of sports bike riders out there who couldn't corner the way that they're cornering. There's so much capacity in these bikes.
Yeah, that's all technique and experience. Yeah. You'll notice those guys never turn their head down. Mm-hmm. They're always looking to where they're going.
Yes.
Their head never goes down. Once you put your head down, that's where you're going. You go down, as any instructor would tell you.
Right on.
You've got to look at where you're going. And funny enough, when you're going around a corner or tight corner, by just feathering the back brake allows you some balance that you wouldn't normally get. There's all those little tricks that, but once again, everyone can come into a corner too hot or whatever because you don't know the road or etc. I remember leaving from Shepparton and we were heading towards Eden. And a friend from Shepparton took us all through the back mountains there, and it was incredible. And I was on the other Indian then, and I remember coming around one particular. I'm loaded up. Remember, I've got my bags are full. I've got my luggage with me, and he's basically said to me, "I'll see you down at the cafe down at the bottom again. Don't try and catch up." This guy could ride. Billy, he watches our stuff from Shepparton, and hell of a rider. And I thought, you bloody show off, this guy's smart ass or whatever. And sure enough, but I went around one corner and I just saw a corner on the edge of the cliff and it was all dirt and just a bit of road. And I thought, oh my God. And fortunately, everything kicked in. I accelerated out of it. The bike handled it beautiful. And I thought that was a bit of a wake-up call to me. It was like, one of those things that you learn. Fortunately, you go, well, I got out of it. Don't put yourself in that situation again.
Exactly.
And I got down to the bottom of where the cafe and he's already having his coffee and cake. And it was a bit embarrassing. So, geez, I was going really well.
That's amazing. There was a time that I was in a bad mental space when I was riding for a number of months there, and I was riding with my emotions, which is not a good thing to do, and. When I'd see a sign that said reduce speed, that big red reduce speed sign that you see sometimes, I'll just kick it back a gear and absolutely power into it. I was just on that emotional path of destruction because I was upset about some things that were going on. Yeah, you learn pretty quickly how to handle a bike going hot into a corner when you've got that sort of mindset. I don't ride like that now. Yeah, you learn pretty quick how to handle that corner when you throw yourself into it like that. But you got to know how to handle it before you do it. You can't just learn in the situation. You've got to know what to do before.
Yeah. But unfortunately, sometimes things like that have to happen for you to
have a wake up.
You just got to learn. And I mean, they say don't ride beyond your means, whatever. That's why group rides are not a big thing for me, because I just found too many riders were, they're up your tail. They don't know how to format, and it just drives you nuts. And, you want to turn around and say, and it just causes an argument, whatever. I'd rather, I remember a couple of rides where I've literally just turned off down a side street and gone.
Yep,
and
right
just
with you.
Get out my own way. I've just left. It was a charity ride or whatever. And I thought, nah, not worth it. I'm not. This guy behind me keeps coming up close. He's not over on the right. They're not,
not staggered.
Because you got to have not staggered, yeah. It just does your head in. And I'm not there to teach them. I'm not their mum. I'm not going to stand up and say, mate, you should be doing this and you should be doing it like that. I said, nah.
With you. Last thing you need is when you're looking in the rear vision mirror, there's someone, 3 meters behind you at 80 k's an hour. And if anything goes wrong, then there's nothing you can do about it. They're right into you. And when you've got a pillion on the back, it's 100% not about telling the person on the bike behind you that they're in the wrong, because it's too late. It's about protecting, yourself and your pillion. Is just get yourself out of that situation. And I'm not big on group rides for the same reason.
Yeah, and if depending on their bike too, if they need to stop quickly, a lot of the bikes just don't handle well stopping quickly. We're lucky with ABS and all that sort of stuff on these, and most of them have got that now. But a lot of them don't, and they go and slam on the front too fast or whatever, and it locks up, and they don't know what's going on. But anyway, we digress a little bit.
Don't know how to brake quickly. It's not even about the bike. I think the bike has some amazing abilities, these modern bikes, but there's a lot of riders who don't know how to brake well. You hear people saying, you just use the front brakes, don't use the back brakes at all. But your back brakes are going to give you some extra stopping power. You got to get them involved.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'd say about 70-30, but
about that, I
haven't analysed it that much. But yeah, you're right. And I try not to put myself in that situation in the first place, so I have to do it. But
you've got a lot of the add-ons. I've got basically no add-ons, but this is one of the ones that I've yielded to. I've put a Bluetooth headphone set into my helmet, and it's mainly because, when I'm riding normally, I like being with my thoughts. I like being in the moment. I like projecting out and seeing what I'm doing. I love that. That's a big part of why I like riding. I don't want music involved. But when you're sitting on the Pacific Highway for 3 hours straight with 2 lanes in both directions, there's not much of that. And you start getting twitchy and not really paying 100% attention to what you're doing because you just flatly bored. So having the music in that situation, or the podcast or whatever, Motorcycle Talk with Nic and Dave is an excellent one to listen to, I imagine, if you want to listen to a podcast when you're riding. But having something there to keep you occupied on those long, straight, flat, uninteresting roads, especially freeways and highways or freeways, is I think really useful.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I don't like earphones and stuff in my ears. I can't handle that. I prefer the sound to be outside and sort of coming at me. That's fine. But where I would like the comms would be a perfect situation in the sense of what's going to happen. But if we get to do the trips that I would like to do while you're here, that would be the talk back and forth.
Yeah, it could be quite good.
Is ideal. That would be good, where I say, we can chat to each other, and maybe we might be able to. Actually, I'll probably still have that. Maybe we might be able to key something up like that.
That's what we have to do. We have to do an episode of Motorcycle Talk with Nic and Dave while we're riding together. I think that's got to be an episode.
Well, just mute yours out, and it'll be
well, the only reason I want to be able to hear you when I'm riding is so that I can turn you off. If I don't hear you, I won't have the opportunity to turn you off while I'm riding. It's
I don't know. I'm lost for words. But it's true. That would be good. Well, I think we might be able to set something up like that. For sure. You're a full face helmet, aren't you, Guy?
Yeah, I'm full face. Yeah. There's, I'm not against anybody wearing open face helmets, because I get it. I get the reason why you wear them, but there's just too much of a percentage of injuries that happen down here, and I'm just not going to exchange it for the pleasure of riding with the bottom open. I mean, I get it. Every time I'm in a hotel car park or a motel car park in the middle of the outback or countryside, I usually ride from reception to the hotel room without wearing helmets or gear because I just like the feel of it. And I don't want to put all that stuff on for like a 1 minute ride. But I know that protection is part of the game too. It's a hard balance. It's a hard balance.
Oh, it is, and I tell you what, it's a very controversial bloody subject. It's people can't help themselves. They all got to be nannies and mothers and come in and tell you what you should do and what you're not. I'm not your mum. I'm not going to tell you what to ride, what to wear, how to wear it.
That's how I see it too. It's good to see you guys. Welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. This is a blast. We've been enjoying your shows, even though we're on a bit of a hiatus. We've been enjoying everything in the background. It's great. You're not killing it.
It's good to take a hiatus, although it looks like you're still riding out there, right?
We are.
No, not
we are.
Yeah.
Riding?
Not as much as
I think I've been on my new bike twice.
Anyway, that's another story.
I don't. It's an anniversary model. I don't want to get it dirty.
You guys have recently upgraded. You had two beautiful bikes anyway.
They were gorgeous.
And so you've gone from what to what now? Just explain that.
So I went from Harley's top of the range CVO 2019 model down to a lowrider ST. So a bit more sporty for my style of riding. The lower fairings on the CVO were a slight pain in my. You right there? A slight pain in my side. That was the one thing I didn't like about that bike. And long term, I just thought it's a heavy bike. I need to move it on while the Ks are still low-ish. Mind you, we did clock 38,000 Ks on that bike in the space of a year and a half. So we'll see how we go. And it isn't a forever bike, so it's just the next stage. It was just moving the CVO before she got too many Ks.
I think it suits your personality a bit more too.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah. And Roger, your bike is the colour just stands out incredible.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, pictures and video don't do these things, the anniversary models, justice. They are just mind blowing up close. But so essentially, I've just swapped a 2020 Street Glide Special for a 2023 Street Glide Special, and so with an anniversary paint job. And I deliberated over it for ages, and I didn't need to do it, but I just thought, well, like I'm in my late 50s, so I'm thinking it's more than likely my last new bike purchase. Just you can afford it now. Just go and get it done. Just upgrade, have some fun, and we'll go and get it done. So, in terms of performance and anything like it's the same.
Why don't you like fairings on your bike, Rochelle? I saw you on that bike with fairings for so long. I assumed you liked them.
I've always been a non-fairing rider. Always.
Yeah.
Always had open fairing bikes. We did Tassie in 2019.
Yeah.
And on the way back from that, he decided to upgrade to the Batwing fairing. And I was like, gross, never ever going to have one. And then we did a ride up north, and my bars weren't too high, but they were high enough that when you were getting the wind, they started to actually impact my shoulders. So I couldn't actually hold on, and it was actually starting to impair my enjoyment for riding. So we then looked at potentially getting a screen for the bike, which then changed into a CVO.
Right.
accident.
Wow.
Because we both had Road King specials. So that CBO is the only bike she's had that's had a fairing.
Man,
Yeah.
what a nice bike to do it on.
Yeah.
I know, right? Very spoiled. But, yeah, I'm a fan now. I obviously assist with rider fatigue, and we do a lot of long Ks. So I guess this one's not as obtrusive as the Batwing, and it's quite funky.
You'll know it. You'll know it now. You'll know it. It'll be interesting when we first get out there and do the first big long ride and see how much protection she gets with that fairing that's on hers now.
You've got the new bikes, and I know you've been a little bit undercover, under the radar of late. But just your best ride so far. Where do you think your best ride's been so far, and also one that you're planning maybe?
I'm going to say Snowy Mountains Highway for me.
Yeah,
I enjoy Queensland, but
beautiful.
Snowy Mountains Highway, the scenery, just the roads, amazing. Loved it.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah. King's Highway was a magic run as well, but we had a ton of traffic, but the Snowy Mountains Highway is relatively cruisy. Not just that, but you get across the other side of Coomera, and then you've got the Monaro Highway heading back across to the south coast, and that's fantastic as well. So that's my number one as well. Snowy Mountains Highway is number one. I mean, in that series that we did, I was genuinely that excited talking to the helmet saying, this is unbelievable.
The King's Highway, where educate me on that.
Bateman's Bay, which is 3 or 4 hours south of Sydney, and then that runs up the hill into Braidwood and Canberra or Wagga Wagga. Yeah, that's a magic run. But if you do it on a weekend, you have some patience.
And future runs.
Yeah, that's like most rides like
that. Yeah. Future runs, I think I'd like to do New Zealand. I'd love to do New Zealand, actually. That's a big plus for me. And this one still wants to do the States. Very well.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing that really bounced off of me. I said to Jax, I said, look, you've got to, we're lucky. We watch it in the theatre room when I put on the ones that we want to watch, so I've got it on the big screen. And with the drone stuff, which we have to catch up on, we really got to get that stuff sorted. But with the drone footage and with you guys just pull over and you have a little bit of a chat as you do, it puts a whole different perspective, especially with the drone stuff. I mean, everyone admits that. It's I'm just afraid. I know I'm just so nervous. I send $2,500 or something on a drone, fly it over, go full, and just watch the sucker go down into some bloody sinkhole or something.
Or into a tree.
Matt from Roads of Oz said that when he watched the footage of that Malula episode where I flew it away from the apartment building. And he said, I wish I had the confidence. I said, it's not, just go for it, man. You've spent that much money, you got it. Just go, send it up there and send it out over the ocean. It's designed to hang in the air like a hawk, and just learn how to use the return to home button and make sure it's high enough. Sweet.
Sorry, did you do some practice runs? You must have done some practice runs in parks and stuff. And
yeah, of course. Yeah.
You've
got to learn how to bank it, learn how to do this, learn how to do that. But I honestly think, like most things, you just got to simplify it, right? Because you've got to remember, much the same as motorbike footage, you don't have kilometre after kilometre or hundreds of metres of bike footage. You've got to transition it, right? Yep. Smooth it out, make it engaging so people flow from one sequence to another, right? The drone's the same. You can't – there's been a handful of times where in the editing room here – I will let a particular drone sequence go on only because I think, oh, man, that's that amazing. I don't want to cut that. But generally speaking, I try to just make it an interlude. And the hardest thing is to come back with amazing drone footage and go, I have to cut it. Don't use any more than that. That's the hardest thing. You've got to be ruthless with it. It's the same as I'm the same with my photography, and you've got to go, right, how do I use that drone sequence there to just flow in the middle of the bike sequences?
I'll come back with great footage, can I just say? And then he doesn't use it.
Not really.
I put in all the time into it, and then it's just
It's a joke. So yeah, you got to. So the point I was getting to is when I fly, I pick a spot and I pick a target or an apex, and I'm going to go over the corner of that cliff, but it's literally like 15 seconds tops, and then you pull it up and you turn around, and while it's up there, bank it around and make sure while it's 100 metres in the air, have a look around and make sure that there's another shot that you don't want to miss out on. If there's nothing there, pull it back in. Don't fly it. You only need to be shooting and flying for 12, 15 seconds at a time. Because in the editing room, that's what it's going to be, short.
Yep. Yeah. When Danny came into the picture, $1 million bogan, a lot of people used to say, I don't watch him anymore. He does this stuff. I said, I don't care. Out of every of your subscribers, you tend to learn something from, and you take out of it what works for you. And the grabber thing on the handlebars that I have and turn around is what Danny had, and that suits me. I like that. I can turn around, I can switch it on, and he was continuously saying, guys, if you're doing it, do 3 or 4 seconds, then cut to somewhere else, and then cut to somewhere else, etc. And I mean, he's got his own unique style, and it's obviously worked for him very well. And I take out of it what I can. There isn't every one of his vlogs where I, there's some things we all go, oh my God, what's going on here? But it's impossible to keep doing what he's doing with what he's done. He's set a high standard, and sometimes you can't quite reach that all the time, do you?
We don't have to.
No, you don't have to. Yeah, answer.
You don't have to reach it at all. It's all relative, Dave, right? I'll say this. It doesn't matter whether you have 130,000 subscribers like Hida has, or 1,000 or 300 or 500, or 5,000, whatever. And we don't focus on numbers at all anyway, but I'm just making a point here. But it's all relative because, he doesn't, just because he has 130,000 subscribers, well, there's not 130,000 people watching the video.
Yeah, that's the exact point. That's what I don't understand with all that, because even Itchy Boots, 1.5 million subscribers, and she'll get 600 or 700,000 hits. So you think, hang on a minute, that's 400,000 not subscribers that are subscribed to her and not watching.
And there'll be a lot of people who aren't subscribed just catching that video. It's probably less than that.
And this plays a role behind the scenes with me mentally as well. And it's, after a while, you just have a look at, you just pull back and have a look at everything, and you think, all right, well, so that's the way all of this game works. So do we need to be busting our ass every week and doing it? No, we don't. So, it doesn't matter whether you're pounding them out 1 or 2 a week, or you're doing one every 2, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Just touching on what you're saying there, Roger, I completely relate to what you're saying. So have you thought many times where you just go, that's it, YouTube's going, Facebook is going?
Yeah, Facebook. We're there now. Like I'll just for transparency and clarity, Rochelle loves doing the channel, right? Loves filming it and whatnot. She has, like, I do all the editing in here. So Rochelle comes home and says, "There's your micro SDs out the GoPro. I'm going now. I'm off to have a shower and whatever, right?" And so I do it all. And that's fine. But Rochelle, not in an arrogant way, but Rochelle can take it or leave it. Like, if we finish this call now, and Rochelle said, "You know what? I don't want to do it anymore." If I said I don't want to do it anymore, she'd go, "Yeah, great, cool."
Yeah.
But because I'm creating all the stuff and doing all the artistic stuff, I'm by default, rightly or wrongly, more invested in it. And so it weighs on me more. And over the 2 years that we've been doing it, it just weighs on you more. And then work comes into it, and then family commitments and all that sort of stuff. And then you watch the way that YouTube works and how some creators treat the platform. And after a while, it just wears thin with me. And I just think, what's it all worth? And I would write, and that's where we're at now. That's why we haven't done and made a video for 2 months, because I've just hit the wall and gone, to hell with it all for now. I'm not at the stage of saying I'm quitting, but I'm also not making the type of videos or films that I really want to make.
That's what I wanted to ask, because on the other end of this, why did you guys start this channel?
Like everyone else, because we're riding and we bumped into a few people, and you watch a $1 Million Bogan or Aussie and the Indian and a few others, and you just think, oh, we could, I wouldn't mind having a crack at that.
And I think also for him especially, because he's creative and he's done professional photography for a very long time. The cinematography side of it was a new challenge for him. And his photography skills have allowed him to create these little pieces that I think are really cool, because just the way he tells a story, the way he picks his sounds, he evokes moods in all of his videos. And I'm not saying that to give him a big head, but I think he's got a knack at doing it. But I also see the other side. Before we started the channel, I was very close to closing all my socials down, because I can just see from a stylist. I was a stylist for a very long time, so the social media platform was sort of ingrained in my business, and fitness as well. It was just, you smashed with it all the time. So I actually got to the point where I was like, I'm closing it down. And then he's like, well, I want to start a channel. I'm like, well, now I can't shut my bloody Instagram and socials down. So it's been a bit of a battle in that regard. Writing for me has always been it's
an outlet.
A stress relief. It's an outlet. It's my detox downtime. And when we started introducing the video part of it, for me personally, it started encroaching on my time on my bike.
No, not your time, but the way you feel on a bike. And why you're on the bike.
It just, as you guys know, as content creators, you're riding along and you see a corner or you see something coming up and it's like, oh, I need to get this shot. And it then detracts from actually riding that and feeling that corner, or, being part of that moment right there and then. So it's a fine line. And because I'm not as invested in the creativity side of it, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But I see how much enjoyment he gets out of making things, so I'll do it.
But there's also, and you were touching on it before, Dave, in a way, but it's also, it's like you were talking about, you select which channels you want to watch, right? And so as we all know, you've become part of this moto community. And by default, you feel compelled to, which this is one of the great values of the moto community, you want to support each other. And that's all great at the start. And then you're watching people do mail call videos, whether it's in Australia or Canada or the US, and it's all, oh, well, if you could just go over to their channel and subscribe, and we all go over and subscribe. And after a while, after 6 months, 9 months, you go, I can't keep up with all these freaking channels. And you want to. You want to. Yeah. And this is part of the reason, and for anyone watching this right now, I'll just take this moment to clarify this. It's the reason why we've watched almost no moto content in the 2 months since we made a video, because I feel terrible thinking, well, I want to hand select which ones I want to watch, but then it's not fair because those people follow our channel. I think it's better to we just go pull back or all in or nothing, right? And it's bloody hard because you develop all these, but these are all people that follow your channel. You guys know, right? But then you feel compelled to follow theirs, and after a while you go, I don't have time to breathe during the week.
Mate, Roger, you've absolutely nailed it, mate. You really have. And I know this is not only helping me, but it's going to help a lot of people that see this, because you're spot on. I think you need to know, you just back off and say, really, it's not that important. It's not a be end or end all of everything. That's why I've tried to just now make videos for ourselves, because I'm looking back at videos I did a year ago, and I go, holy crap, we did that. We got through the riding, and I mean, and even though I had it all on video with the rain on the Nullarbor and etc., just Jack's turning around to me and saying, honey, I'm so proud of you, the way you rode, and you just focused on what you had to do. I turned the camera on and I forgot about it. It wasn't, it was just like, Dave, you need to get to your destination, because if something happens.
And I just think, and you said it before, it's not the be all. I think I fell into the trap. Rochelle's never fallen into the trap. I certainly did for a while. And I had a sudden realisation probably a year ago. I've been thinking, the way I think right now, and the reason why we're in hiatus, I've been feeling like that for about a year. But I just couldn't stop myself. I couldn't pull myself back because I stupidly keep thinking about this stupid algorithm and stupid numbers and, oh, my God, subscriber count and, oh, let's share this. And that. It's all bullshit. right?
It's
It's not bullshit,
It's just-
but I just think people just pump it up, and I think just relax. It's not. We don't need to be making a video. Just relax. It
It's
doesn't.
a little side bit of your life. It's not your life.
Yeah, and be proud of it. Start a channel, work on your channel, be proud of it. But if something doesn't work, or you don't have this and you don't have that, don't. I get triggered when I see these YouTube ambassador channels pop up in your feed. This is what you should do if you want your channel to go viral. This is what you should do. Create these shorts, and you do. Give it a rest.
I think the problem
I'm rambling now.
isn't really
Rochelle needs to
YouTube.
take over.
I think the problem is the expectation of the social media world in general. I think the way the world is changing so much with the accessibility and the drive for people to have that notoriety and that self-importance, and that's not in a negative way. It's just there's so many avenues for people to show off what they're doing. And if you're not keeping up with those trends, then who are you? Whereas I think when you get to that stage where you don't care, like Roger and I are, what you see on camera is literally how we are all the time.
Absolutely.
We pay out on each other all the time. And a lot of the friends that we've created across the moto content, like when we ride with them, they'll tell you the same thing. Like we're smart asses to each other all the time. So it's a genuine and it's authentic, I think. And for me now, watching how people not change per se, but how social platforms make people change. Like if you've got, like you said, Nick, it's great that you want that channel to grow, but it's not the be all and end all. If you don't have those view durations, or if you don't have those numbers, it doesn't make you less of a person. And I think that's the problem.
But the other thing too is that, getting back to that whole thing about mail calls and feeling compelled to subscribe to other people's channels, and after a while you just go, I just can't keep up. You look like a lovely person, and I've had a sneak peek at the content, but I'm following all these other ones, and what do I? And all of a sudden, like Rochelle is the first one to fall asleep every night, and I haven't done this for 2 months, but typically I'm there scrolling through my phone trying to catch up with the channels that like US and Canadian ones. I watch the Aussie ones, and then I go, right, I've got about an hour and a half window before I go to sleep. Right, yeah, okay, tick that one off, tick that one up. Yeah, watch them. Yeah. And I'm proud of that because I've done that consistently for the 2 years. But now I'm starting to say, and it's not disrespectful, it's not arrogance or anything, but I'm going, how forget us, how do we all do it?
Screw that. Yeah, you're right. About a year and a half ago, I started to, similar to what I've done with YouTube on Facebook. You got 500, 600, 700 friends, right?
Yeah.
And I just looked through them, and it was just people that hadn't been on their Facebook since, 2017 or whatever. Yeah. And I just started to cull them off, and I thought, if I don't really know them and we haven't met or haven't talked, they're gone. There's exceptional circumstances. Sometimes the person's watching that told me, Dave, I don't do Facebook much, but I'm on there and I do see what you're doing, so you sort of know. But and I did that the same with the YouTube. You had to start to just cull down, and I've really enjoyed it a lot more, especially the last trip. I think I just found it that, well, I'm doing this for ourselves to look back on. If people enjoy it, I've got a guy at work who's avid to earn some money doing YouTube.
Oh,
yeah. He's trying to build up his channel, all the rest of it, and I don't think that people just realise, they think, I get 1,000 subscribers, I'll start earning money. You're 22 cents minus tax and all the rest of it. You've really got to have some serious subscribers and viewers. Itchy boots type of volume.
Right. How many times have I said to you, don't worry about the amount of subscribers. Are you having fun?
Yeah. And Jax is not even on Facebook.
I don't do Facebook. I haven't got Facebook.
I don't do any of that.
I cannot be bothered with it. Yeah. And if I need to know anything, I just ask Dave.
I think
he knows everything.
I reported her because she wouldn't even friend me.
Defriended you.
I think the key is what you just said there about you've just reached a point where you've got to start doing that culling. That's the point we all need to get to, because when you start off, you are chasing it and you get sucked into this whirlpool.
Yes.
And it's not until you get beaten around a bit that you start to say, all right, well, I've made a realization now that it's not that important. You keep on getting dragged along with this realization, and you let it keep dragging you along and along, and after a while you just go, right, I can't get dragged through the dirt anymore. I'm stopping.
So, all right, we'll lighten up a little bit. It's been I mean, this is. No, I think it's fantastic. No, I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this, for absolute sure. But just touching briefly is that, like I say, I just stay with the guys that I think that, well, obviously I'm liking their content, but I know that eventually we're going to meet up somewhere along the line. And so that'll definitely happen. But so just changing a little bit is that I was really interested. Roach, is it?
Roach is cool.
Roach. It doesn't sound right. It's a Roach. I like Rochelle. It's a lovely name.
Thank you.
And with your riding, and as I get to see it a lot because obviously filming's getting done on Roger's bike as well, etc., and all the rest. And you're a fantastic rider. But how long have you been riding? What was your first bike?
So my first bike, I actually got my license in 2011. So I just divorced from a horrible wedding or marriage. Anyway, and I wasn't allowed to ride in that, but I always wanted to. So that was the first thing I did.
Wasn't allowed to ride.
No, I wasn't allowed to.
So
I wasn't allowed to have
sign that one, isn't it? Gee.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, I got my license. I started on an FZR 250, which was a piece of junk. It cost me $400, and it broke down every time I rode it. So I learned how to fix the bike as well as ride it. 3 months in, I got my Ps, and then the person I was around at that time said, get a different bike. Let's get you a 600. So I was riding an FZR 600 on my Ps, which I possibly shouldn't have been. And I chopped that bike. I made it a rat bike. And it was very Mad Maxy, and I was so proud of it. And that one was only like $1,000 too. And when I got to the stage where I was ready to upgrade, I bought my first Harley, and that was an Alliance. And then just transitioned from there. So being in that world, and I guess meeting all these people, a lot of obviously heavily male orientated hobby at that stage as well. You meet some different people. I rode with an ex-bike cop who I called my faux daddy, and he is now 80. He's 82, is he? But he used to push me. He just used to ride. He just used to make me ride. He wasn't lenient on me. He was just like, look, if you're going to ride, I'm going to push you. You're going to ride right, and this is what we're doing. So we used to do like 900 Ks in a day. And just stop to go to the bathroom and fuel up. So I learned very quickly how to ride, and how to ride distance, and how to ride country roads, and just I've never done track days, which is pretty unfortunate for the technical side. But I think I do okay riding the roads that I've ridden over that time. I mean, I'm sure there's lots I can learn on the track, and lots more. You never stop learning, but that's just how I've ridden.
If you're applying yourself to learning, whether it's on the track or on the road, then you're learning. There's so many people who don't.
Just going back on when you said you're riding with your Ps and you're being a naughty girl. But that you can ride with a shadow. Do you have that over there? You can ride with someone with a full license that's with you on another bike. And
no, not that I'm aware of. With New South Wales. Wow. New South Wales, I think, is a bit backwards compared to Victoria, where he got his license. So New South Wales, you do an upright course, you do a written course, and then you're on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So license, then you can go.
Over here, we can be on L plates, and you're not allowed to go over speed to ratio or power to ratio. It's 660 now, I think, or whatever it is, but they can ride, an L plater can ride, or P plater can ride any CC whatsoever, as long as they're being shadowed.
No, not here. So there's a 660 limit, but the bike I was on wasn't power to weight ratio, so it was above what I should have been riding. But
fantastic! Wow, that's an amazing background going in there. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
same applies to you, Roger. What just thought, yeah.
So I only started riding. I only got my L's December 2016, and
Bugger off.
I'm about to turn
Yeah.
58.
So we got together.
So
riding.
I've known Rochelle since 1997. We used to work together back then. I won't even go to the story, but anyway, long story short, 2015, 2016, met up with her again. Long story short, she moved in with me. I was living in Melbourne at the time, in St Kilda, and so she had a Harley, a 2017 or 16 Street Bob Special, when they still made the Street Bob Specials, and it had short shot pipes on it that you could hear a kilometre down the road. And I'd hear her coming down the street and rumbling into the underground car park, and I thought, I've got to get me a piece of that.
So you're still there, boy.
Yeah. So I'd go down and she'd be rumbling, and I'm going, oh, man. So she just said, you know what, I think I should do it. And so it was literally December 2016. I got my L's in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
You're right there for that time.
It wasn't all the experience on the road that she had via the story she just told. From day one, I wasn't lugging around little suburban streets. She was saying, no. This is the type of riding we're going to be doing, mate. So we're out there on these rural roads and we're hitting the twisties and the sweepers, and you're going to learn how to do that. So I learned quick smart.
She does come across a girl you don't want to cross.
No.
You think I'm nasty?
No,
that's a hell of a love story, guys.
It's actually a great meeting up story. I love that story.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, the one you've told, the extended version. It's a nice story. I like it.
Well, it was a sad story because the reason why I was in Sydney at the time, but it turned out to be a beautiful thing. So.
Yeah.
But you guys know it's a special connection when you can ride with your partner.
Yeah.
When they're part of that on the bike with you. It makes it so much easier when you're not having to leave your partner at home and say, I'm going to be back for a ride. It just it kind of causes points of contention. So when you've got a couple doing things together, it's just a natural flow.
I didn't get dragged kicking and screaming, but let's say, for instance, because I used to play a lot of golf, right? Imagine if I said, I want to go back to playing golf, or I want to invest more time in my photography, and I thought, it's fascinating, that bike thing, but it's just not for me. Well, then Rochelle, I know what type of soul she is. She would feel compromised and feel compelled to stay at home more than getting out on the bike, and that would tear me apart. I'd hate to see her miss out on that. So it just ended up being a nice fit.
Yeah, we don't really have that. If you want to go away and do your own thing, I say, see ya.
Yeah, she can't pack the bags. She can't pack the bags fast enough. I'll give you a little scenario. I came back. Where did I come back from? Oh, Tassie. A few years ago, I did a Tassie trip, but I only went far back as Adelaide and then shipped the bike. I don't know. I regret doing that, but anyway, I got back, so I didn't have the bike for a few days, and then the Indian shop was doing a ride up to Jurien Bay, which is just a few hundred k's, and I'd only been back.
Got a day.
A day I've been back, and the guy said, "Oh, can we get you to ride a bike up for us, with the group?" And I said, "No, just got back, guys, and I haven't got a bike." And they said, "Oh, you can take any Indian bike you want."
You should have seen his face. It was like a meerkat.
Yeah, but Jax goes, "I'll shoot home and I'll pack your bags."
I said, "You sort the bike out, I'll pack your bags."
Oh, I didn't know really how to take that.
It was one night. It's like, and if he goes up there, enjoys the night with the boys.
Yeah, but you hurt my feelings.
I did know.
It would have been worse if she said, I don't even need to go home. Here's your packed bag. I've already got it, mate.
Toothbrush and undies, you're right. See you later.
The emergency pack. Oh, you beat that. No. Yeah, that would have been worse. That would have been, then there might have been a bit of an issue.
No, we do a lot together, but also, if he needs time out and wants to ride or whatever, or go out with the boys, that's fine.
Numbnuts here is coming over next month.
Hi, Numbnuts.
Hey, only one's numb. I'm leaning to my left. She's right, but.
we had an understanding. I do the funny stuff.
Sure, wait till he picks you up at the airport on the bike.
Yeah. Hey, that's a question, Roger. Have you ever been pillioned? Have you ever been the pillion for Rochelle?
Okay. So there was one. We did an episode where we went to a cafe in Cessnock. Nick, you wouldn't know where Cessnock is, but up in the Hunter Valley. And so we're at on camera. Rochelle says no, because I dinked her that day because her bike was in getting a service. So she's on the back of my black one.
Hated it.
And then she says on camera, we're about to go home, and now she said, now it's time for you to put your money where your mouth is. You need to get on the back. I'm riding, and I said, pig's ass. And so I reluctantly, as I said on camera, for the fans, I'll jump on it, and I jumped on it, and it was more of a joke because a few weeks earlier, Purple on 3 had put up a video where Tommy G was on the back of Jody's Spider, and there was a joke about him, losing his manhood and all that sort of stuff. So I let her dink me that day. I think we rode 300 metres, and I'm yelling at, get me off this freaking thing. Hated it. I just like no control. I can't stand this.
You hated it. I actually wrapped the gears out, mate.
You didn't ride. You just stuffed my bike up. I didn't ride. What's that?
That's gold. That's gold. I mean, you do. I mean, it is a control thing, and I hate being a passenger in a car. I would hate to be on the back of a motorbike. It would not agree with me at all.
I'm the same. It's comfortable in the seat, but Rochelle's driving is so shit. It just becomes. It's really. So I'm joking.
Can you guys leave the camera on after the interview? We'd love to listen in on the argument.
Are we recording?
I was just saying, it's like, oh, right, thanks. We'll talk about that later, Roger.
Harley rider goes missing.
Yeah.
Michelle gets 2 bikes.
Yeah. It was just feeling like you're sitting on your back and you've got zero control. It just felt, and you're sitting in there just trying to balance, and she can ride well. It's going to be fine, but it just didn't feel fine.
Yeah.
So we got down the bottom of the hill, and I said, that's it. We've got enough footage. Get me off.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how you pillions do it. It's incredible. You're just giving yourself so fully. It's amazing.
And that's it. It's giving yourself, trusting that person in front of you.
Yeah, but have you seen Dave's bike? Jax is on a freaking lounge chair in the back.
Yeah.
I sleep.
Or sleep.
Or both.
She's woken up when we've just been coming back into the driveway.
That's gold.
I've heard that before from another couple. I can't remember who it was, and I thought, how does that even happen?
Awesome. Anyway, are there any short-term rides coming up, guys? Any rides coming up?
Oh, well, there's the Walker Content Creators Meetup, but that's not till August.
Yeah.
We're probably going to ride this coming Saturday down the south coast to Kiama.
And then I'm out of action for a couple of weeks. I've got some surgery happening. Nothing too scary, but that'll not keep me out until about end of June, early July.
We'll be riding with Throttle down under, and who else is going Saturday?
Kazo's going.
Kazomoto's going Saturday.
Cool.
A few different people are going. Just going to head to Kiama.
That's the valley. That's what I was going to say earlier on about this whole moto community, that you get to ride with people like that, leave the GoPros and the drone and all that at home, and and then for people that live interstate, just this little friendly chat. I know this is for the podcast, but this is delightful just having this chat with you guys anyway, because we've not done that before with you guys, and that's the value. That's the value in it for me.
We met Nick at the last content creator, and that was awesome.
That was fantastic.
I said, when you go to the outback of Queensland, and me and Nick have talked this before, Queensland and the Northern Territory, that is when you're in the middle of buck, nowhere. And that's when it can take your guts away. That's when you sort of go, I remember riding across from Cloncurry. Once you leave sort of Cloncurry and you start to head that outback of Queensland, and the road sort of goes down, all of a sudden it narrows to just a single bit of bitumen and all red dirt. That's when you sort of hit and you go, woo. And I'll briefly just state on that before my previous 2 trips of doing that, I tried to do it once before a few years ago when I was on my other Indian, and I was not mentally or physically prepared at all. And I can tell you that, in all honesty, I had ridden across, I'd done 400 Ks from Cairns to, I think it was not Cloncurry, I'm trying to think of the town. And I went to move on from there. And when everything narrowed in on that bitumen and to the dirt, I completely lost it. I pulled over and I'm grabbing, I'm not lying, I mean, this is really letting you, I was grabbing dirt, I was grabbing weeds, and I was trying to go, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I thought, what am I going to do? I completely felt gutted, you know. Everything was just coming out of me. I ended up taking off back and did another 400 Ks back in the camp. Rang a friend of ours that had been staying with in Cairns, and he heard me on the phone and said, Dave, you just get here. Just get back here now. Yeah, and I shipped my bike back and flew home. That, as bad as it was, let me know that I needed help. And I needed to do something about it, which I had done. And the last 2 times, and I remember, I think it was the 21 trip, I went across and I got to the same spot. It was playing in my mind, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to be okay. And I got there and everything narrowed down. Now, I'm a big fan of like the black cockatoos and stuff. They were calming. They were calming. I love their screeches. I love everything about it. I stopped, and all these black cockatoos, there had to be probably 100 of them.
Wow.
They all landed around me and were pecking on the grass, and I was surrounded by them.
Yeah.
That's massive.
And I just went, thanks, guys. And they were all just doing their thing. And I just stayed there for 10, 15 minutes just watching them.
Yeah.
And then I just hit the road, and I remember yelling into the camera, bring it on, you mother. And away I went. And I was good as gold after that.
Wow.
That's sorry about
stunning story, Dave. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It comes. But, you know, I mean, that's why with Roger, I've been thinking about you a lot, because I know that when you're struggling with stuff like that, I know what it's like. And sometimes you don't want to talk to people. You just want them to piss off. Just get out of my face, will you?
Yeah.
You know, and this thing about walking up and people saying, are you okay? Well, okay, if I say no, what now? What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's not a catch-all, is it?
No, it's not. But, you know, I mean, but at the same time, motorcycling definitely saved my life in a lot of ways. Just things that you accomplish and do, you know, and riding such a big bike, it's you know, it's not as easy as it looks.
No, but more importantly, it's a tool, isn't it? It's a bike that you can then go out into the never and lose yourself in a positive way, because the type of bike facilitates that. It doesn't have to be a big bike like that, but you know, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not in the budget that you guys are in, but I've remarked on myself so often how much $6,000 of motorcycle has deeply inside of me changed my life in so many ways. Yeah. It's stunning what a bike gets you, whether it's a 50 grand bike or a 6 grand bike or whatever. Yeah. It brings so much into your life, and that hooks into so many needs that we don't realize we have sometimes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So a question, guys, is we won't get into it too much because we've sort of already bantered on the Harley Indian rival type thing or whatever, which I really
I know.
I have no interest. It sort of happens to me. I see a lot more of it in cities or towns, but when we go off and do a trip, you know, and you're heading off around Australia or wherever it might be, and you crack, it really doesn't seem to matter who you come across and what they're riding. You might say, oh shit, you ride that or whatever, but it ends up coming more about the people that you're meeting, not the bikes really come a third or even fourth slide.
Very nice.
10 minutes before you're talking about their bike, you know, you go, oh yeah, well.
Don't come into we nod to everybody on the road. Yep. If we pull into a cafe or something in a town and we get an opportunity to talk, you make eye contact and they're looking at your bike, you're looking at their bike, whatever. I couldn't give a shit if they're on a postie bike. No. I'm more interested in the person beyond the person taking their helmet off.
And you're seeing a lot of the group rides that we do with the content creators, we're all a mixed bag. Yeah. People are riding, they're riding, whatever they're riding.
Yeah.
Ride together. It's, you've got sports bikes, you've got Harleys, you've got adventure bikes. It's just getting out there on those two wheels.
I've come across guys that one was on a 250cc or something, old Royal Enfield. Yeah. And, he had these made up bags and stuff. And I was just impelled to him. I just went to him. He's looking at my bike. I said, forget about what's going on here, mate? This is unbelievable. He was crossing the Nullarbor and going everywhere. And I thought, man, that's just bloody fantastic.
Yeah, I've ridden a 250cc from Brisbane down to Sydney, into Canberra, Melbourne, Adelaide, Tasmania, 35,000 kilometres on a 250cc. Not even once, anybody went, oh, haha, that's a small bike. Not once. Yeah. The heart out there is everything. It's nobody's. You take it down to your main nightclub strip on a Saturday night, you're going to get railed by people throwing insults around. Not once out in the countryside.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of it is it never pigeonholes people either. I remember riding up Macquarie Pass and there was a guy in a Ducati and it was an old school Dharma and he was ripping up through the twisties. And when I finally reached him up the top, he ended up being like a 92-year-old gentleman who had been riding since he was 21. And we just sat down, we had a pie together, and he just told me stories from the war and how he rides every day and that's what helps him. And I just thought, wow, it literally is this gateway and this thing that you can't explain to people that don't ride. It's such a special thing when you can escape on a motorcycle.
Yeah. It is. I think it's been written up, but I've been saying it for a long time. It's people just say, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "Well, when you're watching a movie, and you go in a car, it's just like watching a movie." I said, "But when you're on the bike, you're starring in the movie." Yeah. And I remember one of my first long trips I did from here up to Kalbarri. It was about 600 odd k's or whatever. And I remember one morning heading off the last bit to there, and just smelling all the fields and it was just pastures. You could smell the cows, you could smell the fields, and and the sensors were there, and I thought, my God, this is unbelievable. This is what it's.
That's the first thing that struck me when I was riding. Just two things. One is pulling up at a set of lights and realising that your feet are actually on the ground, and you just look around. You've been in this cage all your life, and all of a sudden you're 51 years of age. You're starting to learn. You go, shit, I'm out in the open here. But then getting out of the urban areas and out onto the rural roads and straight away. Yeah. Just because I was almost exclusively, rightly or wrongly, using an open face then, but just, wow, all these sensations, just magnetic.
Yeah.
Even take for granted in a car.
Yeah. Even the odd bug that hits you, you know what I mean? It hits you on a hand or it hits you on the face. Some people, I said, no. I said, to me, that's like, well, I'm alive.
Yeah.
You didn't say that when the bee beat you.
Oh, well, the bee bit me. I should have been in ICU.
So you're in an open face all the time. So what are the tastiest ones, Dave?
I'd have to say the bees have got a bit of a tang to them. There's definitely some tang there. But, I mean, when I got bitten that time, that was a nasty bee. That was he was probably the bully of all the other bees. He was the bully of the other bee. I'm not even joking. I should have been in ICU. I was in trouble.
It was a bad thing. His eye ended up closing, so it was a bad thing. But ICU's a little bit of a stretch.
And I soldiered on. I'm just saying.
I did in Hobart. I rode around a side of a hill into a swarm of bees, like thick swat. I saw it and went, "Oh shit!" And I was in it and through it, and I'm positive I left like a Wile E. Coyote shaped hole as I rode through it. It was unbelievable.
The worst experience I've ever had in an open face is riding behind a cattle truck. Not nice. Oh gosh, not nice. The worst experience. And yes, mouth and everything. Wasn't fun.
Well, before we wind it up, just quickly on what are you using with your I know you GoPros and all. What camera equipment are you using?
On our helmets, we've each got a GoPro 8, and we got GoPro 7s on the bars. We had a GoPro 8 that we use on a GoPro selfie stick for all the off-camera stuff, off-bike stuff. Yep. But that one died, so I just not long ago bought a 9. But the 8s and the 7s work fine. So I think, well, why would I buy a 10 or 11 or something? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
So we've got 2 8s, 2 10s, the drone, of course.
The Insta.
Really good. And I was about to say, so we've got the Insta360 X3. Yeah, whatever it's called. I'm not sold on that yet. I'm contemplating selling it. I just I've actually been meaning for a long while to put together a video on how I believe they should be edited and how people use the footage, because I don't like that whole fisheye warped look. And I've got to the point now where I think, am I getting enough value out of it? Are there enough 360 sequences in the videos that I can use and plonk in the middle of our sequences, the GoPro stuff, and they work well? Like, obviously one's low down with the bike. Like, we used it for the for the introduction to our new bikes. Used a couple of sequences there. That's just to create a bit of mystique early on in the video, so people can go, "Oh, I wonder what they got." But generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of the 360 stuff, because you put it up and from a practical point of view, it's a no-brainer. They're fantastic. But just because you can put it up on your bars and shoot everything doesn't mean you should be.
But I think also because we've got 2 people videoing at different angles, we don't really need it. Whereas the value, I think, is for people solo.
That's what I was about to say. So for people solo riding, from a practical point of view, if you've got a GoPro here ×2 and a GoPro on the bars ×2, then I think it was a bit of an impulse purchase on my behalf.
No, you don't do that.
There's a question I wanted to ask, which is about add-ons to your current bikes. Have you got things you're going to be adding onto them and changing, or Wilbur's suspension, that sort of thing? What sort of add-ons?
Look at Michelle, will you? Look at her.
You're already being done.
Tell him, Roger. Tell him.
Mine are basically done, but here's the thing. It's a very good question, because Rochelle keeps saying to me, when are we going to do a video to show the mods? And with my current state of mind regarding YouTube and all that, I don't have a mental block now, but every time I think about it, I think, well, we could go and easily do that. But I thought, do people really care? I don't know. And there's so many of those, but so mine are done. Apart from putting a cam in, which I probably won't do for a little while, mine's all done. But Rochelle's is the more exciting one, because it's a complete change of direction in terms of the bike, and therefore lots of different mods. So
there's a few things that work. So
do you want to wait, or do you want to? You can just say it now. What you're doing with it?
So I put a sound bar in. So it's got the stereo in it at the moment, and we've put pipes on it. That's what we've done at the moment. There are a few other things that I have in my
the lowrider STs have got a drop-in sound bar that fit into the fairing, so it's complete Bluetooth. It just operates out of your phone. That's all it is. It's like a set of speakers, mate. We picked the bike up at the dealership 2 weeks ago. Something they cranked it up. No, not even cranked it. Like 60%.
It's loud. It's loud.
The loudest, crispiest. Why am I struggling to say? Just the clarity and the volume was just mind blowing. Wow. So she had.
Yeah. So I have a Mad Max theme in mind. Whether that's executed is another story, but the fairing,
it'll get executed.
I'm in love with the fairing. I don't know if it's actually the right bike for my height. I will say that. Shut up, Roger.
How long are you going to keep the bike?
When I traded, like I said to you, I didn't want to keep the CVO and clock the K. So this bike was very appealing with the fairing. I don't know if it's going to be the forever bike. I will say that.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I'll keep it for, but I will have fun on it because I already know riding through the corners and smoking his ass in the corners. It's so much fun to ride, but I just don't know if it'll be the forever bike.
But you've also got time on your side. You're younger, and things change. Naturally, that happens. But
who knows? I could be on an ADV bike eventually.
No, they get dirty. Those ADV. They get dirty. And mine, I answered earlier on with the question about the name, Loomy, Lemmy, Loomy. So the pipes, the headers, what else? The grips.
The bars are
the bars are different. So all of that got transferred over to the new bike so I could save some money. So, but new bars just went on my bike, so a lot taller than what I usually had. But
and for all those people asking about why I swapped out the bike just after the Wilbur suspension went in,
who paid for that?
I didn't ask for Wilbur suspension. I was fine with my suspension, but we did pull it out, and one of our subscribers ended up buying it off me, so that was nice. He's got a Stevie now.
Yeah.
That was the one that is that the one that Danny put into his bike?
It is.
Yep.
It's
same system. Same set and forget.
It's got a really good name.
Really, very good suspension.
The Wilburs.
Yeah.
Just set and forget. Set the pre-lag, and then it automatically readjusts after it compresses. Then it only takes a short trip down the road, and it automatically just keeps pumping itself back up to the air. Fantastic. Just with the Wilbur's LDC Nevo mat setup, mate, it's just cruisy. Beautiful and smooth ride. Beautiful.
Yeah, nothing like air suspension.
Oh, look, I've had air suspension in cars, and I've had air suspension burst in cars, and then have had to fix them. They're not fun. So suspension for me.
Anyway, there's lots.
Well, I don't know how many, if you got any left, Nick, or not, but I just want to say, guys, that thank you very much. And it's just for us. I mean, I know you've met Nick and everything, but we guys haven't met as such.
Yeah. And
just to be able to talk to you and just to chat to you, I know that we're going to get along famously when we do catch up and have a drink and meal or whatever we do.
100%.
I might have to bring. What's your name? I might have to bring her along though.
He'll be riding solo when he meets you.
I missed that. Right?
We very much look forward to it. You know, there's a almost spiritual type connection, even though we've never met. We're all part of the same community, and as I said, the value in this. I know this is predicated on being a podcast, and Nick will break it all down and edit it, but we've just had a lot of fun just riffing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And I think that's it. You got to bring it back to the basics. And I think everything you've said is absolutely valid, well and truly. I'm definitely walking away with a little bit more to think about.
We had an all too brief chat, didn't we, with Nick at the Content Creators Meetup, but I think I remember saying to you at the time, Nick, that I appreciate all of the kind comments that you said, and we traded some kind comments back about your channel, and it's just
and how beautiful you are inside.
Yeah,
that's so nice. You guys are absolutely beautiful to meet. It was just the best. I enjoyed that so much.
Guys, thank you so much for having us on, and we're really enjoying the podcast. Keep doing what you do.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been fantastic. See you
later.
later.
See you later.
Yeah.